Welcome to the Sherri Johnson Show, the podcast for real estate agents who are ready to stop chasing their next deal and start building a business that provides predictable and consistent monthly income to even double or even triple your income and sales production in less than a year. I'm Sherri Johnson, international real estate coach, speaker, consultant, and the creator of the exclusive Goldmine Pipeline strategy that's helped thousands of agents add over 6 figures to even 7 figures to their bottom line. If you're ready to generate more leads, crush your income goals, and finally play the long game, you're in the right place. Let's dig in. And we are back. Hey, it's Sherri Johnson with the Sherri Johnson Show. And today I'm actually going to call it the Chris and Sherri Show because today's guest, my featured guest, is one of my all-time faves. And we have been literally best friends, colleagues. We've worked together. We've done so much together. And I have Chris Schlenkerman here from Cleveland, Ohio, from the Collaborative Home Sales Group, team leader of approximately 20 agents, rockstar agents out of Northeast Ohio, covering the greater Cleveland market. Hey, Chris.
Hello.
I'm so excited. We're finally doing this. Oh my gosh. Talked about it for a long time. So everyone who's listening to this, first of all, Chris and I have to go back in history just for 1 second because of our personal relationship. So we met, oh my gosh, I think
20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago. And we got to work close together. We've had a lot of fun. And I just want to tell you, you have done so much. Your career, the influence you have on your team, the agents, the whole industry, frankly. And it's a pleasure. It's an honor. You know that we've done a lot of training together. We've done a lot of skits together. We've illustrated the do's and don'ts of practicing what I used to call, remember, sales prevention. And a lot of laughs. Oh my gosh. So it's really like awesome to see you and have you on. I'm excited about today's show. And it is really the Chris and Sherri Show because it always was.
It exists. For those who thought it wasn't, it exists.
Oh,
look out.
It totally does. And it still does. So Chris, you've got a wildly successful team over the last over 10 years now that you have built, and you've been in the business over 20 years. Tell us a little bit about your team because they're amazing. And it's what I love most is you lead from the back. You lead from the front, but you also lead from the back. It's all about your team. You make it about them. You always have. I admire that. I think that you position your agents for their success and very humbly lead them in a way that's different than most team leaders who are a lot of times about, their name, their whatever. So you start with having a team name that does not have your name in it, which I think is great. It's collaborative, obviously by definition. But tell us about a little about how you've built this over the years, and then we're going to get into some industry topics that are hot topics. I can't wait. So tell us a little bit about your team.
Well, it started when while I was in an office overseeing agents, there was that was when teams were growing and becoming a more mainstream thing. And, in meeting a lot of new agents and experienced agents, it was a conversation topic. Should I be on one? Shouldn't I be on one? I don't like it for this reason. I like it for this reason. So just through observation, I was like, well, there's probably a better way to do this. And that's what was used to craft our group. And what's been nice about our group is we're going on 10 years old as a group. 90% of the people are still the original agents. It's not a big, fast growing recruiting kind of group. We just do a good job and we try to focus on the job and having great client experiences and successes. And, I personally enjoy helping them help others and see their success happen. So trying to put the ego to the side, giving the agents credit for their hard work, for their listings, for their sales, and being available. And that's just been rewarding to me. And I think we have a very steady path ahead of us. It's been working really well. So
it has. And you have, I think, done just a great job. I've watched it obviously for years, and I know that any conversation I have with you, it has to be right for your team and for them, or you're not going to do it. So, and I pay very close attention to those things, whether I've said them or not. I notice them, and I think that speaks volumes of why you have the success rate of retention is because people really succeed. I've watched you take part-time agents, and they are successful. They are full-time. They are making 3-4 times what they used to make. And I love it. I think it's great. So kudos to you, because that's hard to do. And it's, there's a lot of what I would call revolving door with teams that have, they don't do what you do, and they don't build the culture you have. And I know culture has always been important to you, and it shows, but more importantly, what the proof is that the people have been with you for this long. And so they continue to go forward. And I think it's going to be a great future. So a lot has changed in our industry. You and I talk about this like every month. We're always talking. We go to dinner, we laugh, we talk about things, we call each other, we text each other. There have been some major changes in the last couple of years. Sellers today think it's like, 2021. Buyers think it's 2008, I think. And so we're, agents that have not, if they got their license in 2020 or 2021, they not really know how to price a house today. They really only know how to handle 17 offers and no home inspections and not having to price a house or do a price reduction. So there are some challenges that we face both with marketing homes. We have lots of great debates, you and I, and we talk about these things. Some of what I want to talk about today would be you have an extremely unique marketing approach to a seller. And then also you have an amazing value proposition with working with buyers. And with the changes that happened, we'll cover each one separately, but we'll start with buyer agency and the difference today that agents can experience, and really the benefits of what some of our massive changes that happened. We always should have been using an exclusive buyer agreement. Some people did, some didn't. Yeah. And now, if you want to share with us like your perspective, how that has changed your business practices for better, and for how you train your agents to use that, and some of the insights you have on that.
It's been a positive change for the real estate industry, for us. It's been positive for the consumers. It seems like it's allowed us as agents to help anyone that calls to see a house or anyone that might be in the market. It's helped us to maintain a focus we didn't have before. And that focus is going to help with better service and experience for the buyer clients and for the transaction in general. I mean, it was always, for the first 20 years of my licensing, it was get a call, run out to a house, show a house. You were supposed to show some forms to them, maybe get them signed. I mean, it was a little bit of a circus in the sense that, and that's what we had trained the public to think that we would do. It's like, you make a call, we run out, open the door, and after that, whatever happened, good, bad, or in between. So with this change, it's kind of been a great reset, because even the people that have been doing this for decades, it was a reset. We all became new agents on that August day of last year of 2024. And, which has always been interesting and a little bit entertaining at times. So everyone's got their way of doing it. Brokers had different approaches, et cetera, et cetera. But, in general, it was a great reset, because we probably needed that. We needed to stop and say to the people who want to see a house, who are you? What is it that you're trying to do? How can I actually help you? And do you understand how this could work between us? And so since that official change took place, I know we, and myself personally, have had a few instances where you didn't show a house because that person really wasn't a buyer, or they weren't really ready to commit to you because they were working with someone else. They didn't even, whether they realized it or not. And so we avoided a loss of trouble, a loss of time, a loss of, we avoided those problems. So it's been good. And it's also been, a way for for the transparency with our buyer clients about these are how the numbers work. And it's allowed the agent to take more control of what they can or will or won't work for. And we can set our own value with our buyers instead of being dictated by some ridiculous number that we didn't have a choice in. And that's where all the problems came from it was a problem that might have put the magnifying glass on it. And now the solution has, I think, improved the entire process. So it's been positive, and we've been able to manage it quite effectively by saying to our new buyer clients, I mean, let's face it, not everyone we meet as a client is someone we know. We weren't always introduced them. They're complete strangers half the time, if not more, right? So, hi, you're a complete stranger. I don't know you. You don't know me. We're both apprehensive of each other. Let's go look at some, multi-$100,000 transaction right now, right? So it's been nice to been able to. We've had the freedom to say, listen, here's the law in a nutshell. This is what we have to do now, whether you are aware of it, whether you've had experience before the change or not. And, we've modified our agreement so that we can kind of go on some first dates on a friendly level and say, I'm not going to break the law. I need you to sign this. I need you to understand this. However, I'm not going to trap you into something, and you're not going to trap me into something either. It's a mutual, situation here. And so we've been able to use a strategy or use an approach that's consumer friendly, agent friendly, and effective, where we have great clients who understand and are prepared to work with us because we've had a nice test run and it started off on the right foot.
I, for years, begged agents to stop doing agency on the hood of the car, fly by night, just sort of sign the document and go, and please sit down and have an actual consultation like we do when we list a home. And now we're having that where it's actually, we've risen to the occasion. I think our professional standards have all been raised to a better level. I also think we foolishly, many people, as you know, you didn't do this, but a lot of our industry said, hey, it doesn't cost you anything to work with an agent. And I think we completely devalued our service. And so that, even though it was being paid, by another party, that was one area that I was like, look, we stop saying that, right? A lot of things we say, we don't realize we're saying, there's no inventory. Like, all we do when we tell people there's no inventory is don't move, because you won't find a replacement house. You know what I mean? So it's like, we're actually, it's
easy to sell a house. Just your house on the market will sell. Yeah. Okay. That's a great message.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to do anything because there's nothing for me to buy. And what I think buyer agency has done, and you said it, is, we are fairly compensated. We actually can have a conversation that says, this is how I work. This is how I get paid. I remember I was an agent, and our form back at Smythe Kramer said, a retainer fee. I walked into my manager and I gave her a check, and she thought I sold a house. And I said, no, that's a retainer fee on the buyer exclusive. And she's like, you got a buyer exclusive signed? It's like 1996. And I go, yeah. She goes, and I said, this is the retainer fee. It was $1,500. And I said, give me $1,500. If I never see you again, I've been paid. If you buy a house from me, it'll go towards your purchase, and you'll get refunded if the seller pays my whole fees. So we've all caught up to what I think every state was doing randomly differently. I think it's a huge incentive, and we get to dictate that, especially if you're an agent who's resourceful like you, and you have an actual plan where you can go out and find a buyer a house that's not yet listed. I know you do that. And the fact is, I remember being on a plane with a guy. I was flying to Virginia and into DC rather. And he's like telling me why, he wouldn't use an agent. And I said, well, would you use an agent and pay them if they found you a house that was not yet listed? And he said, absolutely. That I would pay for. And I said, well, that's what we're doing. So you want to really, just like you would hire the best attorney, just like you would hire the best CPA, you need to hire the best real estate agent. So that said, there seems to be, there's always different ways agents are trying to differentiate their marketing, differentiate their value when going out to get a listing, and then actually market that home. I've known for years, I've watched you do this. You have a very awesome, unique way of marketing your homes, not only to the buyer that would be buying that home, but internally to your team. Your whole team has an inventory of buyers. We're marketing that within your group of 20 plus agents. Tell us a little bit about what you do that sort of separates you from your competitors in terms of how you market a home.
Well, I mean, I wish it wasn't unique. You know, we've had, we meaning you and I, in the past, and I've done training to different groups about marketing listings. And one of the biggest downfalls right now that's happening, and it's been going on for years, is a lack of marketing for the wrong motivations. Irresponsible behavior by certain agents or brokerages to take a new listing and not fully expose it so that they might benefit by, you know, selling it in-house. So kind of like with that in mind in the background of it all, you know, even before our market turned hot, or before COVID, or whatever that turning point was, you know, during the time when listings didn't sell overnight, like, you know, 2008, 2010, you know, kind of getting out of the ditch there. We, you know, in every market, a seller should seek the highest level of exposure to the most buyers. It doesn't matter what kind of market it is, buyers market, sellers, it's always going to be the case. And there's always exceptions to the rules, but, you know, we're just going to kind of keep it in the mainstream. But even the exceptions to the rules can benefit from some of these points. So every seller should be seeking the highest amount of exposure to reach the most buyers in the most effective manner. And we've had a lot of industry options and changes and, you know, different approaches and that kind of thing. But, you know, overall, when we are going into a listing appointment, when it comes to the marketing and the strategy and getting things set up, it's always a culmination of, you know, what's possible and what for the seller and all terms considered. I mean, but the real point is that overall, our approach is that we create a strategy that's customized to the sellers. It can be for their needs and their situation or for the property. And we want to have a plan. Like, you cannot effectively meet a seller today, list their house today, and put it on the market today or tomorrow. It's not going to work. Those are the agents that think MLS database entry is marketing. And unfortunately, that's going to be a short career if you keep that in mind. So throwing something in MLS in a haphazard way, or even in the most planned way, is not the answer. So we try to do steps or waves of release. You know, okay, so you're going to sell your property. We've agreed to move forward, work together. We get everything. We're preparing. Preparing the listings are so important now. Condition and price are so important. I mean, I think the past few years we're kind of out the window. We heard agents and brokers say, you don't have to stage a house because everyone's going to buy it anyway. Correct. And you know what? Yeah, they were going to buy it. However, some places might need specific attention. So some properties, right? So, you know, so conditioning and pricing is having a strategy, having a seller understand this is the approach that I would recommend or that you can do, or here's, if you don't like that, here's another one, but pros and cons for each, right? So we try to give the options based on what they're comfortable doing, based on what we think might be best for their goals, you know, price, time-wise, timing-wise, you know, purchase power-wise. So there's all these things going on, but you know, by the time we know the narrative of their story, of their life right now, of what it needs to be in their real estate goals, you know, it's about, hey, all right, so great, let's get the house ready, let's get you ready, let's get the paperwork ready, let's do the prepping, let's do this, let's do that. It's not going to happen in a couple of days. Sometimes it takes a couple of days or a couple of weeks. Meanwhile, we can do some, you know, marketing. Now we've got some shackles thanks to the powers that be, but we can still do some marketing. Like, I can tell my group, I can tell my office, I can put the word out there. There's better ways to do it than others. We won't get into the details right now, but the idea is say, hey, let's just get some of the word out there. Let's get the house ready, and then when it's this close to ready, let's put out some trailers about this thing is coming on the market any minute now, or in the next day or two, or Monday or Thursday, or whatever the plan might be. And let's have a plan to have appointments. Let's have a plan to do open houses. Let's make it so that people can plan to come to this event, which is the opening of the sale of this property, instead of, I think sometimes what it's easier to understand is, instead of doing what some agents will do, which is throw it in the system, don't tell anyone about it, have an open house, take the first offer, leave money on the table, close the door on buyers' faces that could have been the better buyer than what you accepted, because they didn't have a simple plan. And it is not complicated. These are not complicated. This is common sense. This is what sellers want. But sometimes the sellers think that the agent knows best. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. And they go with what they tell them. And there's others of us who didn't get to show the house and you have a chance to make the appointment before the door and the appointment desk is shut down. So, we really go over the strategy of here's why we want to do it this way, from perspective of pricing, conditioning, and marketing, and releasing the property to get those people. We have a new listing right now. It was priced properly. It was conditioned. It took them about 2 weeks to get ready for it. The pictures are in. The reports are created. It is polished. It was released last night. We have 24 appointments lined up. Not even 24 hours later. It was released late last night. It is now 3:30 the following day. And last I checked, there's about 24 appointments made throughout the weekend. And so we know that tells us and the seller this is going to happen. And here's the other thing that everyone needs to understand too on that level is agents and clients alike. We might sell your house very quickly and very effectively. Just because it didn't take 3 months doesn't mean my value was lessened. We have done so much preparation and so much data and updating. I mean, sometimes we talk to a seller 3 months earlier and that market has changed one way or the other, and we have to adjust or even talk about future possibilities if the adjustment doesn't work or if they don't adjust and whatever. So, I mean, our value didn't end just because we got a contract or a dozen offers. We prepared, we educated, we strategized before the doors even opened, and now we've got strong deals. The other part of our marketing strategy is to get backup offers and not put all of our eggs in one basket and not to close the door before the ink is dry. So that, and now from here, we have to get through things. So the value is not just that micro moment of striking a deal just because it went in the system this day and sold the next day or two. Or, if you strategize, say, we're not even going to look at offers until day 3 or 4. And we make that clear to all the buyers and the agents. You can write all the offers you want right now. We are not going to shut the door on everybody else. And so that, all that value, it takes time. It takes me 3 hours to do like an MLS setup, putting pictures in the right order, bringing it together, writing the description, not with AI, by the way. So, and I don't think people realize because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist too, I'm everything has to be just right. And I'll go back and I'll fix it. And if I see something wrong, so there is all this prep to get that amazing result quickly where, sometimes there was a couple of stories just the past month or two where the prior agents who had these listings for 6 months didn't do these things. And now that's even tougher to have to reinvent something that's been on the market where everyone's going, oh, we saw this before. Why didn't it sell? We had to get it. I raised the price on one thing, gave it the marketing and the attention it deserved, and we sold it in 2 weeks. So, details matter, preparation matters, and the value for those things are priceless. So, everyone should be happy when it happens, when it actually happens. So that's, we just really come in with a lot of a lot of planning.
Well, it's a complete, comprehensive strategy that you're not just slapping it in the MLS, putting a sign up, and very sort of haphazardly just, and I see this all the time, that is not in the seller's best financial interest. And, then you have the people who, this sold before whatever, and it's, sold by, whether it's, that's not in the seller's best interest either. Like, this is the wrong approach. And, it's sad when we see it happen. I know it's extremely frustrating. What I love that you do is you actually are adding so much strategy on the front end to prepare the home, to stage it. Houses that are priced right and show like retail, right? You're selling the houses wholesale or retail. You're putting that in its best light. You're going through, not rushing the project, and making sure. I heard you say waves of marketing. I also heard you say we do the proper job to stage it, to, you're making repairs, I'm sure, or light remodeling, but you're putting that house in its best light. And those houses sell for top dollar. And you also said you do like a grand opening. I heard you create excitement, you create a little bit of FOMO. Everybody wants to see that house. You're creating urgency, whether you know it or not. I feel like, remember the days when agents would be like, oh, I already have a showing during that hour, and they didn't want to stack the showings. And you and I were like, stack them. I want people to see back to back. I want it to overlap, actually. So agents, overlap your showings. And by the way, like, the entire front end of this is what you are being paid for. Of course, you're being paid as well to do the negotiation and keep that deal together. But when you have 24 showings in the first 48 hours of a new listing, I mean, that speaks volumes. And that's why you're so successful, I think, at doing this. What a great strategy.
And the other thing to keep in mind is, like, not everyone can paint or fix or remodel or stage. So, if there's a ways to adjust. That's the other, like, we don't come in with like, this is how it's going to be. You're going to do this and this and this. And I think that's why a lot of, you're going to hear the ads out there. Don't hire an agent. We'll just buy your house as is. Well, they could probably sell the house for more if it was exposed. The point is, not everyone can do just one plan. And so many agents say, this is how we do it. This is how it has to be. And they're not fluctuating to the client's needs or abilities. So if you can't stage your house, if you can't remodel it, if you have to sell it in less than ideal condition, maybe the timing doesn't allow, you got to adjust for it and have a different option for them. I mean, they deserve it. You should be able to do it. And that's our job, is to be able to help them based on their circumstances. So it's not always about just, top dollar and making everything look beautiful and, Instagram ready. It is about reality and giving people options and good service.
I love that you said you give options and then go over the pros and cons, the risks and benefits of each option. That's our job. It's a very consultative approach, and it's slowed down by you, which I love, because I don't know why, but you've seen it 100 times. Everybody's like, throw the sign in the yard. It's like, slow down, people, please. And you're in charge of the marketing, right? It's like, I think sometimes, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, we're not order takers. We're the ones that are being hired to give great counsel and direction and guidance and set the tone and create the marketing plan of this days for a seller.
We're the professionals. We should know how to handle this. We're the ones that are listing and selling properties, dozens, hundreds, a year, a time, whatever. I mean, so why are we not instructing our clients what might be best for them? They want to hear that. Most of them want to hear that. They may not always agree with it. You might need to explain a couple, but that's what you're there for. You should be giving them that advice. You should be giving them that guidance, setting those expectations, giving them the pros and cons, asking a lot of questions to make sure that you don't uncover the most important rock that's got that tidbit of information that could make all the difference. It's got to be that way. That's the way it should be. I don't want to go to my doctor and he's just going to throw some aspirin and you take this. You haven't even asked me what's wrong with me yet. So
yeah, it's a much more thorough. I think it's a comprehensive review, evaluation, and then you're setting the entire success path of taking that client's home, getting the highest top dollar that you can, and exposing it to more buyers, which is your whole point of this whole thing too, is like it doesn't serve the seller to not prepare the home, but not prepare the home. Like you're getting 24 appointments because you're launching the listing in a better organized format. And that's just, I think that's great. I want to ask you about, so agents get their license. I mean, you've coached and trained hundreds of agents, if not thousands. What are some things that agents are doing today that they should stop doing and instead start doing because they would be more effective? If someone's listening to you right now, and Chris Schlenkerman, literally his team, your team, and you're not going to brag about this, so I will, but you are in the top teams in the state of Ohio. You are in the top in the country, and you didn't get there overnight. This has taken years. But if an agent is listening to you because you coach agents, you train them, you do such an exceptional job, what are the top like 2 or 3 things that either a brand new agent should strive to do, or an agent that's struggling or having some challenges right now who wants to like reboot their business in the next like week? Like what could they do to hear what you do so that they could go out and get some listings or buyers?
Be seen, get out there and know the market. The people that have to listen to me, they hear ad nauseum, and I bring it up regularly that agents should know their markets. They should be previewing homes. They should be meeting people, holding open houses. They need to that's more on the list side. I think, like you were saying, the listing side needs to slow down. You need to have a plan. And part of the reason I bring that up in this is because, if you can't have a few days of your listing being on the market and you're not giving a large portion of the buyer pool a chance to even get through the door, then you're probably not doing things like open houses either. So like having the open houses or being the host of an open house. Preview tours. I still go and look at, I have a search in the MLS that sends updates to me directly about any new listing in my neighborhood, and it's not just because I might have a particular buyer, but it's because I want to know when one of my neighbors is listed, and then I want to go look at it. So after it reaches me the same way it would, like if I was a buyer and an agent would send me updates, then I find out, is there an open house, or can I just go make an appointment to go walk through it? There are times where, that data has helped me either list or sell another property. There are times where that property I'll go through and I go, oh my gosh, this is making me think of so-and-so, and I haven't talked to them in a while. So dial them up and, I think I might have found a house that you would be interested in. Or better yet, that house goes on the market, and then my neighbor calls me and says, hey, I want to go see this house. I go, great, I've already seen it. I can tell you about it even before we go there. So the previewing has always been the previewing goes hand in hand with knowing your neighborhood, your primary market, because while you're out walking through houses by yourself just to see them, and what cracks me up is some list agents, like if they know it's just you, they're like, you can't show it. Well, then good luck selling it. That's another story. But you go through and you walk through these houses because you need to know the inventory. You can't sell the inventory if you don't know what it is. So this is actually beneficial to the seller and the list agent, whether they want to see it that way or not. And while you're out there, pull up the for sale by owner sites and see who else is for sale by owner in there. Maybe go knock on the door, or pull up the expired or withdrawn list and see who's in the who in the neighborhood is expired, and maybe knock on their door or drop off something and say, hey, I was out looking at houses because you were, and I work in this neighborhood because you do, and I saw that your house is off the market because it is, and maybe you should list with me because you should, right? And, so you can do all these things at once. And there are times where, on a beautiful day or not, whether they're out watering the flowers or shoveling the snow, I see the neighbors and I wave to them. I go, hey, it's Chris. I live over here. We haven't met before. Who are you? Okay. So you network with your neighbor. I mean, you can do so many things at this time. And then through all of this previewing and just saturating your real estate brain with this data. You do an open house in that neighborhood, and the people that come through, you say, I've seen this house. I know this house. This one smells like, you know what? This one is awesome. This one has a crumbling foundation. This one is a deal. This one's and they're like, okay, this person knows this area. There's no one else that we should be talking to if we're going to buy or sell a house. And that has worked so many times, and it is not hard to do. And it is the best time spent. It is not a magic pill. I will hit a house on my way to the grocery store. I will hit a house on my way back home from the office. It takes me 10 or 15 minutes to walk through it, if that. And it's up here. And so brand new agents that were first day, this is what we talked about. Said, right, print off your reports, make your plans, make your appointments, set them up, walk through, make notes, things that you wouldn't have known about this property if you hadn't walked through it. Don't tell me that you were at a house because you looked at it on the screen. That is not the fact. Don't tell me you know a house just because you scrolled through your screen and you saw some pictures. I'm going to call BS on that. You need to know how it feels, smells. Not all the pictures are going to be there. Did it show the basement? Did it show the flooded backyard? Did it show the amazing finished basement or attic space? Sometimes you're not getting the whole picture, but if you're there, you can. And so write the things down on these reports and hold on to them for a while. Use them as your reference point. Take them with you at open houses so that you say, you know what? I've been to that house before. Let me check my showing diary, my showing blog.
I've seen that book of yours.
Right. And people, they want to know that you might not be the best contract writer. You might not be the best negotiator. Maybe you're not the best dresser. But if you know real estate, that's what they need you for. And so if you've got that knowledge, it is in the bag. I've even had some people say, well, I was going to work with my friend, but can I work with you instead? I'm like, well, it's up to you. So, you've got to have that knowledge. It is your foundation. It's your baseline. And that can happen with a brand new agent. That can happen with someone that's years into it. Maybe they're going to a different, if you're in a rut, I'm always selling these $150,000 houses, these $200,000 houses. I want to get into a higher price point, or I want to get into a neighborhood or a building or a different city. I want to expand my reach. Well, this is what you do. You learn the market. And so if you don't want to sell $100,000 houses, go get familiar with the $300,000 or the $500,000 houses. Go look at them. Go hold them open. Go get into that flow.
That's
the best advice that has helped people go from new agents to rookies of the year to top producers over a matter of a couple of years, because you just keep repeating that, and that knowledge will always help you do better.
And I'm so glad you brought up, you cannot preview houses online. You have to physically go in the house. And by the way, when you have been in the house and and you know that the backyard's spectacular, but the pictures don't show that, and you can say, you know what, Lisa, I've actually been in the house. You have to go see it. You can't judge a book by its cover. Many of my clients buy a house that they didn't like online. And that is only because they did what you're talking about, which is going physically to see the home. And nothing worse than if you have not been in the houses. I mean, you have to do this, guys. It is real estate 101. I'm so glad you brought it up. It's tour, know your market, be the expert. That knowledge will help you. And I love the fact that you make it a point to preview houses, even if you don't have a buyer. That's what he's talking about, is like, are people still doing caravans and brokers opens? I'm just curious in your market.
I mean, not at all the way it used to be, but I don't like going to the local grocery store, running into someone I know, and they said, "Oh gosh, did you see the house that came out?" I mean, I usually say yes, I have, but if I hadn't, and I'm like, "Oh God, I can't believe I don't know this property." Right. And hopefully it's because it just came on the market. Like, okay, funny story. This literally just happened yesterday. 2 streets down from where I'm sitting now in my home, I met a neighbor who's looking in the neighborhood, and there's no sign in the yard. And I ran into another neighbor who lives across the street from the house on the market. And they said, "What are you doing here?" I go, "I'm showing this house." They go, "We didn't even know it was on the market." I go, "Now you do." So, I mean, like, you've got to be out there, and, start focused and start, where you want to do the most business. You can't do that it's not a county-wide effort. You can't be, previewing all of Cuyahoga County or Lorain County or Lake County. You got to get here and then build out. So, but it works. It just works, and it builds your confidence. It builds your knowledge base. Maybe you haven't sold a house at all. Maybe you've only sold 2 houses and it's been a year or 2 because that's how things went for you. But if you have that knowledge, you can say, "I've been in this house. It has this." I mean, you sound, and you probably feel more confident, and you sound more confident, and the people will be more comfortable using you. And they're not asking you, "Well, how many houses have you sold?" Because it doesn't matter to them. They're just glad that you know what the heck you're talking about.
Oh, it's so true.
It's easy. It's not difficult.
Building confidence, industry knowledge, market knowledge, know your neighborhood, and be an expert, and the rest will take care of itself. I love the fact that you said they aren't going to ask you how many houses you sold when the market data. So priceless. I love it. Great advice. And so basic, like, come on, like, who couldn't do this? I mean, like, it's so easy. It's just making it a priority. What do you tell somebody who wants to scale? They're doing 25 units a year right now. They're a solo agent, solo entrepreneur, real estate agent. They want to scale to 50 plus units. What's the best thing to help them to make that shift? Because they might have plateaued. They may be like, "Oh, the business is coming to me, Chris. So I just kind of do what's coming to me. And I don't know how to hit that next level scaling. Do I hire someone? Do I take the leap and start a team?" Or tell us what you think your advice would be to them.
Well, this is just business planning, right? So if they're whimming it and they're selling 25 units a year by whimming it, well, what could they do if they weren't whimming it? And so let's talk about the different approaches. What is the real goal? Is the goal to sell 50 units, or is it to sell 25 units of twice the volume, right? So you start to, I'd say, let's look at the strengths and the weaknesses. What can we build on or improve? And what's going to really make sense for them? If they're doing a lot of units and it's, more time consuming, maybe more physical because you're out running around more places to show things or listings, an assistant or some sort of hired help may not be a bad way to go. It's not for everybody, and that's not always the case, but it might be time to do that. Or even just pairing up with someone, another agent. I mean, there's so many ways to do this. This is the problem. This is the problem with the term team. Where you've got teams that they look like, groups of people that are under one name of some sort. And then you've got these teams where it's really just the agent and their admin or their, whoever. And so that term is such a wide spectrum. So like, this doesn't mean like you have to join a team or be a team, create a team, group, team, whatever you want to call it. It's like, this is business planning. I mean, brokers aren't just one guy in the office being a broker, right? So, or gal. That agent that wants to ramp their business up, it isn't always about units. It might be also about volume. It might be about approach. It might be about organization. A lot of people don't have systems. Maybe they just need to market to their past clients because they've never sent a follow-up or anything, or made a call and said, "Hey, I'm still here. Do you know some," like asking for the business, asking for the referral. And, that would be a really easy way to increase your volume or your overall sales. So there's so many ways to do it that could be person specific, where you just got to sit down with someone who's objective and can say, well, this is what I see that you might be missing. And you got to be open to hearing that. If you're not open to hearing it, then you're not open to growing. You actually want to stay where you're at if you're not going to listen to what might actually make your business and your lifestyle better.
Well, I love that you said, you can increase your average sale price and give yourself a raise and not have to.
Or your commission. How about that? Let's not cut commission. How about, I'd like to make more money. Well, what are you charging people now? I'm charging them $1. Well, you should be charging them $2.
So many times, you know what? I want to point this out. In coaching, we find that agents are, overly reducing commission when they don't have to, because they don't have a good talk track or a rebuttal or an overcoming objection to say, you know what? I'm actually not part of the contract. I'm not a party to the contract. Thank you for asking for me to cut my commission, but I can't. And, let's keep this deal together. We've saved people $35,000, $70,000, $70,000 a year because an agent was both reducing her fee on past clients by $3,600 a deal and didn't even know it, never did the math. It's like 36 grand on 10 units. And then on the other side was providing money to keep deals together because she didn't have a better way to handle those situations and she felt stressed out.
How about the other way around? Buyer client, this was a few days ago. After inspection, the buyer was prepared to just take it and move on without anything. I mean, and I am charging, they are agreed to a rate that is higher than some, lower than others. It's a fair rate, all things considered. But, and there was a little bit of pushback, but, we got it handled. And now that client is more than okay with it because after the inspection, he was prepared to move forward without a single request. I said, all right, let me talk to you tomorrow. There's a couple things in here I think we could do. Do you give me permission to talk with the list agent and see what I can get? Yeah, go ahead. $2,500 later, he's like, holy crap. All right, it's $2,500. It was more than what the complaint was about my fee, about the difference of what it was. So, I didn't cut my fee. I got him more money. And we do that with sellers too. You want a low commission? All right, well, hate to bring this quote up, but you cut your commission, you cut your price, you reduce your commission, you reduce your price, right? As a seller, you want to hire someone that's not going to put in the effort, the time, the resources, the strategy, the planning, the marketing. Well, then you just lost 10%, 5% of your sale price when the fee would have been 2 or 3 or 4%.
Right.
Do the math. And we're going to see you through the process so that you retain what you started with as much as possible, if not all of it. So, yeah, anyway, I think I went off track.
It's our soapbox. We're always on the soap. I mean, we literally have taught this ad nauseum, and it goes back to knowing your value, knowing how to articulate it and add value. We're not just shoving documents back and forth to people.
Agents don't transform. Like, what does a butterfly does what on the cocoon? Anyway, so they don't learn, they don't adjust, they don't change with what's going on. They learn something early on and they just want to hold on to that for the rest of their career. And that's how it always is. And I think that's why a lot of people have suffered or had a lot of trouble with this new buyer agency because they didn't have to do it before. So, you've got to learn to change your ways. And if someone can, back to the question, in order to increase your success, your income, whatever the goal is, then be open to hearing someone give you constructive advice. And you know what? Maybe you don't have to sell more. Maybe you need to sell more of a higher volume and do less cutting or less expense. I mean, there's so many things to that, where, or adding on some efforts, whether it's marketing or just simple phone calls, So that answer is so specific to each person, but that's just a lot of different potential ways to boost from up to the next level.
Well, and I think most agents really just don't have a plan. So having a plan and being strategic about your growth is what's going to make it happen. So it's not you can't just say, this is what I do. I do it every year.
We use the gold mine. The pipeline.
Oh, you did not just go there.
I did.
Yeah.
We used the pipeline. I mean, we have the list of buyers and sellers listed, priority, motivation, price points, all that sort of stuff, and that is the dashboard that goes on your refrigerator, on your screen, and you update it as often as you can, if not every couple of weeks, every month. And I just did this with my team a couple months ago, and it's about to go out. I say, okay, update these. If you haven't done any updating, and it puts them in a reset, and it says, okay, well, I've had these successes because these people listed, sold, bought, whatever the case might be, but I've got new people coming in that I need to remember to follow up with. And now they know what their pipeline is, because if they don't have that in front of them, you're guessing. And being successful is not guessing, it's knowing.
Well, I love that you just brought up the goldmine pipeline, because it is the long game. You will have business 6, 8, 10 months from now if you are patient and you work with the people and you put them on the list and you put every lead. Stop looking at leads like they're not good if they're going to buy, 6 months out. You need business 6 months from now, people. And it just is so practical. I know you use it. It's just so great. I'm so glad you brought that up. It's like my, if I created any one strategy, maybe it's that and the make 50 grand at your next open house. I don't know. They're both pretty cool. It's so fun. And, the other thing I wanted to ask you is there's so much, agents are like, I get it's, a lot of people think they have to be on social media to be successful. You do some social media, but your business does not come from social media. So would you share with people how you're one of the top teams in America, you're one of the top teams in Ohio, and it's not like you're pushing out tons and tons. I know you do a nice strategy, you're online, you have a great presence, but your lead generation and your referral rate speak for themselves. I mean, you do not have to buy leads to do this business, and you don't have to be running around on TikTok. So your thoughts on that?
Dabbling a little bit, because we do have some paid lead stuff. Do some online marketing or advertising. Tried it. Still kind of feels like an experiment. The core to it is referral and word of mouth. And that's where when the agents are trained and it's ingrained in them to know the market, know the facets of the market. I mean, we do have weekly Zoom meetings. Okay. Our group does. And in that 45 minutes to an hour, we talk about the market and we talk about what's going on and any sort of challenges or so. So, you got to know that stuff. So we do a little bit of this, we do a little bit of that, but really the core is that the agents, this is why I was bringing up the meetings, the Zooms, is they need to be knowledgeable. They need to know how it works in finance, whether that is appraisals or, different loans. They need to know a little bit. You can't know it all perfectly. You need to know a little bit about houses and inspections, how they work. So lots of education, lots of training, lots of workshops. And if they're on it, then what they do is they are able to project that to their clients with confidence and talk about those things. Those clients have a great experience. They had success with that agent now when they had a lack of success before that. And it's because they were educated. They were proactive. They set right expectations. They had high communications. And so a lot of the business is generated by the agent themselves through their excellent client experiences. We put some things out there on social media. I mean, it's sometimes you can't track where your business is coming from. I know where some things are coming from, not everything. I'm always asking people, how did you hear about me? So and so and so and so. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But it's the knowledge and being out there. Open houses are the best lead generators that, we can't have enough open houses, and it drives me crazy when agents won't do open houses or won't allow other agents to do open houses. I mean, open your doors, people. If I have a listing and maybe I'm busy or I'm exhausted or I just don't want to do an open house that weekend because I wasn't whatever happens, or I do want to do the open houses usually, but there's a Saturday, there's a Sunday, there's 12 to 2, 2 to 4 on both days. I mean, that's 8 hours of time right there. If the if the seller can allow it, or if it's vacant, or if they're out of town, or if they'll just be like, I mean, I'm always saying, hey, if I can get people to do 4 open house shifts over the weekend, let's throw in a Friday night while we're at it. There's 5. That's part of the strategy. You want that? I'll get it done, because the more these doors are open, the more opportunity people have to come see it. And it's opportunity for the person who's hosting.
Correct.
That earlier story I gave about the house that didn't sell for it was actually 12 months. And I did open houses Saturday, Sunday. I met 3 buyers. 2 of them made the offers on the house, and I was there. Most of them had agents. Others became clients now for buyers. So this stuff is so layered that if you're doing nothing, it's like a deficit. If you're doing something, you're up there. You're going to be getting all these things because they're woven in with each other. The knowledge and the activity and the success, it all comes together. And that's my favorite part, is when like a new agent, they've done all their previewing and they're just waiting for something to happen. Okay, let's do this. Now do the open house. Now talk, say these things. And then somebody comes in and they give them the right stuff and they say the right things and they go, and then the agent comes back the next night or the next morning and say, it happened. Someone's going to work with me, because I knew stuff. Right. And so, I just think that's where our leads are mostly coming from, is that the agents are lead generating themselves through their knowledge and through the excellent experiences that their clients are having, where their referrals are actually quite good.
Well, I just, the open house is the GOAT of all lead gen. It is the greatest of all time. Where else can you sit in a house, have people come to you, have a better strategy, sit at a house that has a move-up buyer so you get listings from it? I just had a client, literally 7 new clients. He said, I used, if you remember, the handshake strategy that I do. And he said, it's the one where you shake hands until people answer your questions. What's your name? You keep shaking. And then you keep shaking the hand, and then you say your last name and you keep shaking. And so this agent, who, by the way, did Goldmine Pipeline, in an hour had $9 million on it. He got in his car. He said, you know what? I'm going to go back in the office and actually call these people. In another hour, he had 3 listing appointments. Those houses all sold. But just last week he was on and he said, Sherri, I did this open house, your make 50 grand open house strategy, 7 new clients. They're all going to list. They're all going to buy. It's 14 transactions. It's $157,000 in commission. If that's not the best 2 to 3 hours of your weekend time, the most profitable, the most productive and most profitable, please. I never met an agent who was licensed 35, 40 years who then said to me, I'm going to do that open house. Even if you do it once a month, you'll get enough business to put on your pipeline. I know you do that. These are sort of what we call it easy, hard work, and they're easy concepts, but it's because people don't have a strategy. They're doing the open house to make the seller happy. It's only 2 hours. You see me in the house trying to sell it. They're slapping a sign up for the open house. There's no preparation, right? We know this. And it's like you have a gold mine of leverage from that one house. Let's sell 3 to 5 more houses off of every listing. That's just the way it really works.
I would take 1 open house visitor over 10 online leads, because that one person, they took the time to show up. They knew it was a window of time. They're there for a reason. And so, when you have an open house and it is slow, it's not always a bad thing, because if you've got 40 people coming in, you can't talk to them all, right? But if you got one or two trickling in, you've got that opportunity. I will take that one visitor over 10 or 100 online leads because they took the time to show up, and now we're face to face. And you can't get that on a phone call, and you sure as heck can't get that on an email or a text. So that 2-hour window or 3-hour window or 4-hour window, because yes, I have been doing 4-hour open houses.
The best.
More. Well, not always on purpose. Sometimes I get there early and people are there. I'm like, okay. And then they come in late and I'm there an extra hour, half hour before, half hour early. It just happens, right? So I'm not gonna shut it down. They appreciate that. It's actually great service. They want to work with you. You took the extra time out of your way. So, that one, I'll take open houses leads anytime because that's when they get to see you, hear you. You get to ask the questions. I mean, it's just so much more effective. If agents would spend time to make, who hates open houses? Agents who can't convert leads. It's a waste of their time. I get it. If you're going to show up, if you're going to bring your phone and just watch the game there while everyone walks through, don't even do it. Get out. If you're going to show up with one blank piece of paper or a legal pad and put name, phone number, email, get out. Don't waste everyone's time. Don't even waste the people that are coming through. But if you're going to show up with data about the market, with flyers or little pamphlets or whatever the neighborhood might have, I mean, you can find them somewhere. There is lending. Everyone needs information about lending. Do they need this kind of loan, this kind of loan? Have they even talked about it? That's value. And so that one person that comes to my open house, in that 2-hour window, best use of my time ever. Best use.
The best part of having listings is that they create more listing opportunities for you. And you're spot on. The purpose of the open house is not to send people through the house and say, hey, I'll be in the kitchen if you have any questions. This is an opportunity for you to convert. You're best when you're face to face. 55% of communication is body language and 37% is tone of voice and cadence of how you speak. So are you Debbie Downer at the front door? Or are you like, hey, enthusiasm wins every time, right? The last 4 letters of that word are, I am already sold myself. And it's like, you can meet 1 or 2 people at open house and get more business. You're absolutely right. I love that you said that. By the way, the neighbors are potential listings and future buyers. Please stop calling them nosy neighbors. Come on. They are literally, where there is 1 for sale sign, 2 to 3 more signs are going to pop up in that neighborhood. It's not a coincidence, everybody. You can be the agent who gets those leads, who gets those listings and puts your name on those signs if you would just do some legwork. Walk around.
They're waiting.
Do you canvas neighborhoods? Do you canvas neighborhoods? And I'm sure you do. Like, you tell people you sold the house or invite them to the neighborhood open house, or do you do invite the neighbors?
I'm getting back into my mailing habits, my direct mailing habits.
Yes.
And
I love it.
So this whole year, earlier this year, it was probably April or something like that, I put out a couple of postcards. They were a couple weeks apart from you. Sales, listings, open houses, just kind of your regular stuff. But a couple of neighbors said, when did you start getting so popular? I was like, well, I've always been doing business around here. I just didn't send you postcards about it. And so, it was funny, but I'm like, and I'm like, should have, it's one of those, we've got past clients that end up working with other people, not for a good reason, just because we forgot to follow up with them. We've got family that says, hey, I bought a house. Hey, I'm a real estate agent. I'm related to you. What the hell? And so that canvassing is definitely worth it. And it goes hand in hand with previewing all this stuff. If you're previewing this neighborhood and you're sending out direct mailers or door knocking or whatever you do, it all goes hand in hand, and you will become the specialist, not some general practitioner, but the specialist of those people's real estate needs and whatever. It's just awesome.
Well, listen, number one, I had a listing and in a neighborhood, and I told everybody about it 6 times, and they said, you sell everything in this neighborhood. And I'm like, I only have 1 listing, But the perception was that I was the only one telling anybody that it had an open house. It was a new listing. It had a price change. It went under contract. And then it finally, sold, and I told them who the neighbors were, but they got 5 cards from me. And so they thought I sold everything in the neighborhood. So such a good point. And
new listing, open house, under contract, sold. Those are 4 right there without even thinking, right?
And maybe a new price.
Because they want to know, right?
Everybody wants to know what's going on in the neighborhood. Like when an agent says, I don't want a cold call, Chris. And then they look at me and they say, I don't want to call my sphere either. I basically look at them. I say, who are we selling houses to? Because this is a contact sport. You just proved it really in the last 55 minutes. Like it is game day. You are literally out meeting people, running into people. Every person needs shelter, and you have the opportunity as an agent to provide value, exceptional value, and help that person, meet them where they are. Don't get hung up on their timeline, have a conversation and show value. But again, it comes all the way back to knowing your market and being an expert in your market. That only happens because you've been through enough doors and enough houses. So I love that. Set a goal right now. If you're a new agent, if you're not a new agent, you got to go out and preview houses. You got to know your market. I love when you can talk about a house and people are like, how do you know about that? And you're like, oh, I've been in it. You said that multiple times. Nothing beats knowledge and being an expert and literally knowing your primary market. So we could talk all day. I think this has been amazing. If you are listening right now, please, the action items, the best practices you just heard, put them into action. We're going to be able to indicate how to get a hold of Chris Schlenkerman and his team and how to send any referrals your way if you're listening to this across the country. Chris is in Northeast Ohio and covers the greater Cleveland market, has an amazing team. Again, amazing team in the country. You are like, it's just awesome. You've done so well. You've always done well. And I personally, when we got to work together and run a huge thing together and run it and hit goals and cross over thresholds, no one said we could. And we did it not once, but 3 times in a row. I'll tell you what, those are the best memories. And I know, like, you make me better. You have taught me so much, Chris, and it's just been, it's been a fun partnership, and I look forward to the future. Will you come back, be on the show again?
Chris and Sherri Show.
You got it, the Chris and Sherri Show. And guess what, everybody? Chris is literally one of those people. You can call him. You can reach out to him if you're in Cleveland. He knows everybody. He will connect you. He will help you if you have a referral. His team and Chris will take care of that. And I want you to follow Chris on his social media. That will be in the link here for you to follow Chris and get to connect with him and connect with his team, the Collaborative Home Sales Group. And Chris, thanks for being my friend, most of all. Thanks for being one of my dearest, closest people, friends, BFF in the industry. And I just said BFF, didn't I? Oh my gosh. Remember that? I got you that I got you that big. Do you still have it? You still have it? I know you still have it. We are going to have you back, and we are going to bring Chris back, and he'll, I know, bring it and deliver some more fire. This has been an amazing, amazing episode.
What do they want to hear? Do you have comments in this thing? Do they get to put
They will put comments, yes.
Here's what we want topic-wise.
Yeah, so you know what? Drop a comment. Put a review in the podcast, please. This is the new Sherri Johnson Show. It's the new podcast. My old one, I shouldn't say old. I retired the first one after about 330 episodes. The You Rock podcast. It's retired, but it's still awesome. And I love the fact that people tell me, people appreciate this. I met someone in an elevator, and I didn't meet them. I was talking on the phone. I had a baseball hat on. I was running in the morning at NAR. And I'm in Orlando, and this woman heard me talking, and she said, "Hey, you're Sherri Johnson." And she said, "I recognize your voice." Go figure. And I said, "You must listen to my podcast," because I didn't know her. And she grabbed my arm and she said, "I not only listen to your podcast, I've sold 5 houses from your podcast. So here's what I know. And that alone just like made my entire week. You're going to take, if you listen and implement just a third, half, all of what Chris has just shared with you, your business will soar and you can do anything you set your mind to. So please, take what he said, write it down, take notes from your notes, as my friend Brent Gove says, take notes from your notes and put into action what you just heard, because this is a recipe for consistent growth, scalable growth, and just a fantastic way to really have a successful business. You've grossed over $1 million in closed real estate this year in GCI. And, I'm going to say it for you, but you are a wildly successful person. You're a wildly successful real estate leader, team leader, and you're just one of my favorite people. So thank you, fellow Capricorn, my friend. Love you. So we will have Chris back, and tune in for the next episode of the Sherri Johnson Show. We are dropping new episodes every week. And again, I'm Sherri Johnson. Thanks for being here, everybody. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to the Sherri Johnson Show. If today's episode gave you a breakthrough or an aha moment, please take action. And don't forget, you can grab your free download of the Sherri Johnson Goldmine Pipeline in the link below and start seeing results right away. Want even more personalized support? Book a free strategy call with our team, or check out our coaching program starting at just $49 a month at sherrijohnson.com. Remember, it takes 5 contacts to get a yes, but with the right strategy, you can get there faster. Let's turn your potential into profits. I'm Sherri Johnson, and I'll see you next week.